Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I'm here with a wig review for you. I'm here to show you Estetica WREN in the color R6 28F. Oh, we're not getting focused. There we go. WREN R6 28F. I really cannot believe that I have never reviewed this wig. This wig has been around for quite some time. She's fairly popular for a curly bob, and so I'm excited to show her to you, tell you all about her. So if you want to know about WREN, stick around for the rest. WREN is what I would consider a higher density, low to no permatease wig. So it's kind of unique in the world of wigs where you get one that has a fair amount of hair and doesn't have a good bit of permatease to go with it. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and how that impacts this style for good and for worse. But before I do that, let's look at WREN from all sides. I want you to pay attention to the curl pattern. I will get very close to the camera so you can see that curl pattern. Very, very beautiful spiral curls. Now, I have a confession to make. I've had WREN for at least a year and a half, and I have not worn her. She's been in her box. I started a video of her a long time ago, and I don't know what happened. I don't know why I didn't finish the video. I don't know why I never went back to her. But as I'm going through my wigs and trying to figure out which ones I'm going to keep, which I'm going to sell, what still needs to be reviewed, I noticed that this WREN was just kind of languishing in her box. When I got her, she had very, very defined tight curls. The way she is right now is after I took a wide tooth comb to her. I really hope that you're able to see the dimension and the definition in these curls as I get closer. In my tiny little viewfinder, it seems really dark. So I'm hoping you're seeing what I'm talking about, because I think it's really, really important that you understand the kind of curl pattern that you're going to get if you were to purchase this piece. And know that this is one of those curly wigs where I say that is one of the exceptions to not combing out a curly wig. This is not the first WREN that I've seen. I think it's pretty common that these come with incredibly defined curls. They look exactly like you took a curling iron, you did sort of the spiral curls with a curling iron, and then you did not kind of finger comb out those curls. That's what it looks like. It does not look natural. So what I did, because I don't have, like, my footage is old, it's an old camera, it was bad lighting, it's just unusable footage. And what I think had done is I had then combed through it a little bit, so I don't really have that fresh out of the box look for you guys. I really apologize. You know I try to give you all of that stuff whenever I can. But what I did was I just took this very gently and kind of broke up those curls, and then in the front here I just tried to sort of bring a little bit of it back right in the very front, which worked really well with this curl pattern. But you can see I'm not roughly combing it, but I am gently combing it like this. That is what I recommend you do with WREN. I think she really is a wig that needs some gentle combing to really make her look beautiful and natural. And that is where experience with wig wearing will be your best friend, because over time you'll learn what kind of curls can be combed, what kind of curls really can't be. You'll also start to learn about fibers. These hair fibers are thick. They're thick and substantial. This is a heavyweight hair fiber. So not only does Wren have a good amount of hair, I would say she is moderate to high density. The fibers are also those really substantial fibers, as opposed to light and wispy and airy. And if you don't have a lot of experience with wigs, if you've never even owned a wig, this is going to be hard for you to comprehend. Trust me, the more you get into this journey, you will start to understand this. There are brands out there like Ellen Villa, some Gabor wigs, Belle Madame, who have their typical hair fibers. Gabor, it's not real typical, but I see it in some of the fibers. Can be light and airy and wispy, really. So the difference would be between somebody who has fine hair and somebody who has thicker, coarser hair, if you can think about it that way. And these are not that. They remind me a little bit of Noriko fibers, which tend to be on the thicker, coarser side of things. Both of them are very natural. Not one isn't more natural than the other, because we all have different types of hair in reality. But the difference really lies in how the fibers respond to everyday wear, to combing and things like that. I find that the wispy fibers, the lighter fibers like Ellen Villa, combing makes the curl pattern relax pretty quickly, and you will find that a curly wig that you love is not as curly as it used to be if you comb it. Girl Mono is a perfect example of that. If you comb Girl Mono, she will relax. You comb her enough, she will be forever relaxed. And I hear that a lot from wig sisters who don't know this, comb through their Girl Mono, and then they're disappointed that the curl pattern doesn't hold. A wig like this, on the other hand, can stand some combing, sometimes even needs it for the type of curl pattern. But then if you take water to it and you scrunch it back up, you can get that curl pattern back pretty easily. So that's a big difference between the types of hair fibers. So this one is that thicker, coarser, heavier hair fiber, which I think is really tends to be hardy as well. And I think probably will last through, you know, lots and lots of wears, lots of washes, those kinds of things. Wren also has, so let's move on from that. I hope that helped you, though, kind of start to picture where does this wig fall in line with some of the other curly wavy bobs. So Wren has a lace front and a mono part. I will take the wig off so you can see it, but let's get up close so that you can see this lace front. There you see the lace. Now, Estetica lace does not melt into my skin as much as some other brands. I find I can see Estetica lace more than I can on some brands. And so what I do is I usually cut back my Estetica wigs because of that right there. Because you can see it, and then when I adhere it with its stays and we get a little tension on it, I just feel like you can really see that line right there. So if you have an issue like that with a wig, I encourage you to watch one of my Tip Tuesdays where I show you how to cut the lace. I think it really helps to trim back lace. That will take care of that issue if you're finding that to be an issue. On this particular piece, with this color, they brought all that highlight up to the front, which means you really can't see the knotting because you don't have this dark brown, which I'll talk about color in a bit here, to really call out that knotting. That is not typical for Estetica. I would say that, you know, this is more of like an Raquel Welch tactic where they bring all that super light highlight to the front. It can help in one regard, but what it ends up doing as well is it makes the wig look a lot lighter. So if you're looking at this wig and you like the 6 in it because of the dark brown, you may find it feels very light to you because of how much that highlight is at the front. That's another piece of the wig wearing journey that you should be aware of when you're looking at wigs. If they're heavily highlighted, and if it is a brand that tends to put those highlights in the front, it really changes how that wig looks. And if you're not used to light hair, it can sometimes make it lighter than you're ready for. Now, I don't know that every one of the pieces that you would get from them in this color they would do this. When you get heavy-handed highlights in the front, that can really vary. Sometimes they're heavier than others. All of these features are hand tied. A human being tied all of these hair fibers onto this lace front, and so it can vary depending on how they did it, the technique they used, how much of this lighter fiber they grabbed versus the darker fiber. So do keep that in mind. I actually will be doing a color comparison with this wig and another Estetica color, which has color codes very close, so I can show you the difference in some of these colors as well. So please watch for that to come. Let's talk about this cap. So, and the other thing is the lace is a little thicker. I would say Estetica uses a little bit of a heavier gauge lace. It's still natural, it's not shiny, but it's definitely a little thicker, which could contribute to why I feel like you can get, I see a line of demarcation when I adhere it. So you've got your lace front and you've got your mono part. When you see these kind of contrasting lines in lace, that's actually the hair fiber showing through. So because this is a highlighted piece and they're a little bit of a stripy highlight, you see that here through the lace. That's why it looks the way that it does. This has open ear tabs, which is very, very standard for Estetica. I think all their wigs look like this. An open extended nape, again, standard for Estetica, and then hook adjusters. This one also has a ton of hair sewn into these ear tabs. Can you see all that hair? That really brings a lot of hair here to the temple area and can help with coverage, so that can be really helpful. As far as density goes, this wig really doesn't have any permatease, but it's a higher density wig. So when I do this, I feel some substantial hair, but I don't feel the telltale spring that permatease brings when I do that. It feels soft and pillowy. It doesn't feel like that, but it does have a good amount of hair. And as far as any permatease goes, it has the most minimal crimpy fibers at the cap. It is not nesty permatease. So I wouldn't say it has no permatease, but it doesn't have the permatease that either you hate or you love. That thicker permatease, it does not have that. But because of the density of this wig, I would say that some people might feel overwhelmed by the amount of hair on here. So while there's no poof, I'm not getting any poof whatsoever, it does feel thick to me. And so again, all of this is subjective. Everything I'm saying about thickness and weight of all of this, it's not scientific. It's really what's, heavy to me might not be heavy to you or vice versa. So also keep that in mind, why it's really good to watch lots and lots of reviews. I do find Estetica wigs to run a little generous typically. I feel like they run a little big head friendly. I tend to get a lot of extra cap up here. This one is fitting me a little smaller than the typical Estetica wig. That could just be this piece. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is a smaller cap size than typical. It is fitting me a little bit more snug. I'm not getting excellent coverage. All of that there is my bio hair. So I'm not getting really excellent coverage on this one. So just wanted to mention that. I don't know if again, there is also variation in caps and how they fit in all the brands. So something else to keep in mind. One is, so I said a little while ago that there was sort of the pros and the cons of this not having a lot of permatease. The pros is, for those who don't like poofy hair, big hair, this one doesn't have that. For those who want as much airflow as possible through the wig to kind of keep you cooler, the more permatease, the more it acts like an insulator. And so that's going to help with this not to be have as much insulation. The cons, I think this wig lays a little lackluster on the top. I love the curl pattern on this wig. I think it is absolutely stunning. It's the kind of curl pattern that, when you want your hair to look fancy, you take the time to curl it. But this one is so flat on the top, and then it has all these curls. For my taste, I would prefer a little bit more lift on the top to balance out these really pretty curls. That is my particular taste. That is not a flaw in this wig. We all have the things we like and the things we don't prefer. The other thing I have noticed is that these fibers they want to get a little frizzy. I'm a little surprised, but the more I play with this, the more these curls look a little disheveled and messy. What do you do about that if you really love this wig? Well, number one, I would try not to play with it as much as I do in these reviews, because I'm trying to, you know, the more I touch it, the more you see how it moves. That's really important. The other thing is I would use some silicone spray like Simply Stylin' or Aussie Miracle Curls. I've shown this in multiple videos. It's a like serum that I just get at Walgreens or drugstores. It's very cheap. It's for human hair, but it doesn't hurt my wigs. I've used it on a lot of curly wigs. Just put some on your hands and then run it over the curls just to give them a little bit of a coating to help prevent all of that from happening. I think that would work just fine. I just wanted to mention that. All right, guys, let's move on to color, and hopefully you got a good sense of this wig. It's really cute. I sort of feel like I talked about a number of negative things, but pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons. So it's really, really cute. I know a lot of people love Wren. This is a popular wig. Let's talk about color now. Okay, the color is, let's get it. I know I'm going blah, 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 but I'm trying to cover so much and be mindful of your time. R6 28F is the color. So we have got a 6 base. Let me grab my color index because I think I might have something in here as to what the F means, but I'm not 100% if I'm remembering that correctly. So as a refresher, I have a website, heywigsister.com. I put blog posts out there. I list wigs for sale. This one may be going up for sale on there at some point when I'm all done using it for different reviews. And I have a blog post that talks about color specifically. In that blog post, I have 2 documents, a color index, which is all the color codes broken down for you, and a brand color list, which has different brands and different colors that they offer. So the color index, I really thought I had an R for Estetica, or not an R, the F for Estetica. F. F in Estetica means 80% base color frosted with 20% highlighted color. I'm so glad that I remember that correctly. What does that mean? Well, the 6 is the base. That is a medium dark brown. Brunettes go from a 2 to a 12. A 2 is the darkest brown before you get to black. 4 goes up slightly, 6 goes up slightly. So the base is a fairly dark brown, kind of between kind of medium and dark brown. That's all of this dark you see. And then the frosted part, the highlighted part, what did I say it was? Is a 28F. A 28 is like a Irish red, if I'm remembering correctly. My brain isn't working so great today. Yes, an Irish red. That is this highlight here. That is a bright auburnish red. It is not fire engine red, but it's very bright Irish red, orangey red is what that is. And so you see that here. It kind of, if you're a brunette, what this reminds me of is when you try to lighten your hair, and you know how brunettes, it's hard to get them to go into blonde. You kind of go through an orangey phase first. That's what this reminds me of, this color. And so that's the highlight. And so you got a heavy up here, but then it's just sort of all throughout. And so according to the F at the end, that means about 20% of the fibers are that highlight. And they do it in kind of a chunky manner. You get like chunks of it. It's not stripy. Now, I have seen wigs where it's like stripe, stripe, stripe. That is not how they do it. They really do kind of blend it around and you know, put it here and there. But there are thick pops of color. And that's kind of how it's frosted with it. That's what that F stands for. So I am going to do a comparison with their R6 27H, which I have Mackenzie in. You can go see my Mackenzie review. I've got that already out there on my channel, but I'd like to compare these 2 colors because even though the color codes are very close to each other, they look kind of different. I mean, that does not have that F, so you don't get that frosted. So I want you to be able to see that. This color I thought was one of my favorite colors early on in my journey when I was wearing really pretty much just dark browns. And then I started to want to do a little highlights. Then I was sort of gradually working my way to be flexible with color. And sort of the first thing I was comfortable with was this this particular color, because that's what I was familiar with from, you know, putting sun in my hair when I was in high school to get some highlights, because it's not blonde and I really wasn't ready for blonde. So if you're a brunette and you don't do a lot of highlighted wigs, but you really want to start broadening your color palette, this could be a good transition color, because this color makes sense to a brown haired girl, if that makes sense. I hope it does. All right, so I will just take this off real quick like I've been trying to do, because that also helps for me to sort of get out of the frame. And you can see it's like blended in some places, and then there's thick chunks in others. And it really, really lightens up the overall appearance of that 6. All right, everybody, so we're gonna get outside here so I can show you this color outside. You can stay tuned for a color comparison. As for styling and tucking and all of the things that everybody always asks about, you can tuck her. Now, she is between the curls and the thickness of the hair, especially over here. There is a lot of hair over here. It's not easy to tuck, because it's so much hair. So I would say she is definitely tuckable, and actually I kind of think she looks cute if I get some of this hair away from the face. So you can do it, it's just a little bit of a challenge because that hair is really thick. And if you are finding that the top is too flat for you, one of the things I do with wigs when they're too flat on the top is I really like to take claw clips, and then I do little twists, and then I sort of push it in so it gets a little bit of a bump, and I put a claw clip in, and I can do that in a couple of places. Not only does that bring the heaviness of the hair off my face, it gives it a little lift in the front. That is an easy styling. You can use bobby pins, you can use teeny tiny little clips, and if you do it strategically enough where like you lift up some of the hair, you go and you clip it there, and then you drop the hair back down, you can even do it where you can't see those clips. So if you are curious and you really want to try this wig, but you're not sure, styling is always an option. And there are some wigs I only wear styled because I don't love them just down, and that's perfectly okay. It just gives you more options. So keep that in mind if you want to try her, but you're a little afraid. All right, everybody, let's get outside and see this color outside. Let me know if you have any questions, as always. I hope this helped you if you are a Bob fan. Again, she's got a little bit of an A-line. I don't think I mentioned that. It's not a big deal. It's not a heavy A-line or anything like that. All right, thank you for being here and for watching, for sticking around till the end. If you did, let me know again if you have questions. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Okay, here we are outside so that you can see this color in some natural light. Very cloudy day, and can you see the snow falling? A little bit here and there. We're under a winter storm warning. I think we're supposed to get about 7 inches of snow. It's just starting. So this is one of those brunettes that has a lot of contrast and a lot of heavy highlighting. You can really see that highlighting up here in the front. Look how they did that. Now, that may or may not be the case in other wigs like this. So please keep in mind, when you've got heavy highlights, the distribution of those highlights can vary. So this one's got super heavy streaks up front, but you might get another piece that doesn't have quite that heavy of a streak. So that is one of the variabilities in wig wearing that can be such a challenge for us wig wearers. Let's kind of get a blank background here. It's a really warm brunette on the darker side. Maybe if I get in front of a white, like it's in front of the white door, and see how that helps potentially. And then you've got those caramely highlights all throughout. Very warm. I don't know why I came out here without a coat. I'm very cold. That wasn't very smart of me. All right, hopefully that helped between the inside and the outside. Thank you for watching.
you.